Hi, everyone. Welcome to our virtual tour of Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm just going to give everyone a few seconds to pile in to our trek that we're going to be starting. In the chat box, please feel free to let us know where you're watching from, what you're looking forward to, any questions that we can answer for you. All right, we have Lori from Canada. I'm also in Canada, so very excited to have you. All right, we have quite a number, so I will start doing our little intro. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Gadventures series of live virtual tours. My name is Crystal, and I am Planeterra's Development and Communications Lead. And I have the pleasure of working with our friends at Gadventures today to help ensure you all have a smooth trip. Today we have Said here, who is Gadventures Chief Experience Officer, taking you all on a tour through the highlights of Mount Kilimanjaro. We're going to get started here in just a moment, but first I want to get the conversation started as we give people a few extra minutes to log in. So let us know in the chat who you are, where you're from, and maybe what's at the top of your bucket list in Tanzania and Mount Kilimanjaro. As you do that, make sure you are posting to all participants and attendees so that everyone can see your comments. So we have Toronto, Miami, lots of Canada, some Texas, very exciting. Oh, the Yukon in Canada, very cool. So this virtual tour of Mount Kilimanjaro is helping highlight the Planeterra Trek Challenge that started yesterday, but it's not too late to join us. So you can be a part of rebuilding community tourism by challenging your friends to raise money and virtually trek Mount Kilimanjaro by walking, running, or hiking the 40 kilometers or 52,500 steps that it takes to reach the top in just 5 days. So we're raising money because tourism is recovering post-COVID, but that recovery is far from equal. Funds raised during this year's Trek Challenge will support Planeterra's efforts to guide our 270 plus community partners through reopening safely, diversifying their income, and finding new ways to support their families and communities. So funds will help with training and other support to ensure communities are ready and feel confident to receive travelers again. Your donations will help us relaunch community tourism for all. So if you want to learn more about that, you can visit planeterra.org to join us. All right, so hello everyone. I saw Hawaii come through, Newfoundland, very exciting. So I think we're ready to get started. So once again, everyone, my name is Crystal and I'll be your host for your virtual trip up Mount Kilimanjaro. But you guys are not here to see me, you are here to see our amazing CEO, Said, and I'm going to pass it over to him in just a second. But first, a few notes on how this tour is gonna work. As Said is giving the tour, you'll have the chance to stay in touch with the group via the chat box. And you'll have the opportunity to ask questions directly to Said using the questions button at the bottom of the screen. Some of these questions we'll be able to respond to in the chat, but for those that need a real local expert's advice, we'll have the opportunity to ask Said directly in the tour. So feel free to chat and engage and ask questions just like you would on a real tour. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Said and we'll begin our trip through Mount Kilimanjaro. So over to you, Said.
Hello, everyone. It's a great honor and great pleasure to be part of this. And I would like to take this chance to welcome everybody from the different part of the world. Well, my name is Said. I live in Arusha. Arusha is a region which found in the northern part of Tanzania. I am a CEO of Gadventures. By saying CEO, that means a Chief Experience Officer. And I've been working with a Gadventures for the past 4 years. I'm very happy to be your leading CEO for the Kilimanjaro trekking 6 days through Machame route. You guys, if you do have any question, feel free to interact at any time. So let me take you straight to our starting point, which is going to be the Stella Lodge. So here at Stella Lodge, take a look at the pictures. We are going to have the full informations about Kilimanjaro. So we'll start with the basic informations. As you can see, the pictures of the rooms of this executive lodge. And probably if the weather will be clear, you'll have a chance to see the view of Mount Kilimanjaro from a distance while you'll be inside of your room. We are going to discuss about the basic information of Kilimanjaro. What are we going to provide? What are you going to carry while you'll be on the mountain? To begin with, the basic informations, there are 3 golden rules. And the first one is walking pole pole. By saying pole pole, that is the Swahili phrase, which means slowly, slowly. There will be no competition, no rushing. The leading CEO will be in front of you, setting the comfortable pace, make sure that everybody will be enjoying the pace. Secondly, it's drinking water. And I will recommend 3 liters of water per person every day. And remember, water is the remedy of the mountain. In addition to this, drinking and eating together, because when we'll be climbing, we'll be burning lots of energy and calories, and there'll be no way to regain back apart from keep eating. So remember to drink and eat as well. And the last rule is acclimatization. By saying acclimatization, that means we walk high to let our body to be familiar with the high elevation, and then we'll descend to sleep in a lower elevation to get rid of the mountain sickness. So what are we going to provide? We are going to provide 3 liters of water at the first day. And then we'll provide 3 meals, starting with a breakfast, lunch, and dinner while you'll be on the mountain. In terms of equipment, we are going to provide a sleeping tent, sleeping mat, the tent for the crew. That means the CEOs, G-fighters, the G-fighters are the porters, and the kitchen tent. Also, we'll provide a mess tent, which we're going to use as our dining room and for our meeting every evening and during the morning session. Note that we'll be checking your oxygen saturations and the body temperature every day. So the breakfasts will be served at Stella Maris around 7:30, and our departure time will be around 9 sharp. So make sure that after breakfast, you go upstairs, double check your room, make sure that you don't forget anything. And then before coming down with your bag. So in terms of equipment, what are you going to carry? Here, you're supposed to have 3 bags. And the first one, it will be the bag for the G-fighter. And make sure that you carry all the necessary gears and necessary items that you're going to use on the mountain. And at the second bag, it will be the storage. And if you don't have this, don't worry, we're going to provide a basket that you're going to put all of your items that you're not going to use on the mountain. And you'll find them safe while you'll be back from the mountain. And the third bag is going to be your personal day pack, which you'll be carrying from the beginning all the way until you get back from the mountain. And how to pack these, you will start with the rain gears and also 1 fleece in case the weather changes, because the weather of Mount Kilimanjaro is unpredictable. Your camera, your medications, sunscreen, lotion, sunglass, warm hat, they're supposed to be with you all the time. And don't forget to leave a room for the 3 liters of water. So after checking your equipment, you'll come downstairs. Our G-bus will be ready to take us all the way to our starting point. But before we go to the starting point, the G-bus will take us straight to the Mosh Town. And the Mosh Town, it will be the last place to use the ATM machine and the supermarket. On our way back to Machame Gate, we'll be crossing the first zonations, which is cultivated area. In Kilimanjaro, we have got 5 ecological zones. So we will start with this cultivated area. And in cultivated area, this is the area where the local people lives, and they are allowed to cultivate the cash crop and a food crop. And also they keep the domestic animal. So on our way, we will see a lot of banana trees, the coffee plantations, and vegetables, corns. This is a cultivated area. So by the time that we arrive at Machame Gate is going to be our starting point. And Machame Gate is at the elevation of 1,800 meters above the sea level. So once we arrive here, we are going to do the quick registrations, and you'll have a chance to have your hot lunch and refill the water bottles before we start our trekking. So after finish with our registration and after you finish with your lunch, we'll have just a short introduction for the CEOs who will be joining you all the way up and down of the mountain. As you can see the clear picture for the leading CEO. And then we'll start our hiking all the way to Machame Hut. So from Machame Gate all the way to Machame Hut, the total distance is 11 kilometers, which will take us 5 good hours. And I will be crossing through the rain forest. This is going to be the second zone. And our camp will be at the beginning of moorland. So you're going to experience 3 ecological zones in a single day, in one day. So Machame camp is at the elevation of 2,835 meters above the sea level. Once you arrive here, we are going to show you directly your sleeping tent, the mess tent, and other facilities which will be around the camp. Then after, we'll provide the water for wash. By saying the water for wash, that means it will be the warm water into a small basins because there will be no shower room. So this water, you will sponge the part of your body and wrapping. After finish, you will dress warm and then you'll come straight to the mess tent. There, you'll find the hot tea plus popcorns, and then the CEOs will come to join you to give the briefing for the next day before the dinner. And then after briefing, you'll have your dinner and you'll get back to sleep. Our second day will start from Machame, going all the way to Shira Cave campsite. So from Machame to Shira is going to be 5 kilometers. And it will take us 5 hours. So right now you might be wondering why 11 kilometers, 5 hours, and then this time it is 5 kilometers, and we are going to use 5 hours. It's simply because the nature of the trail, it will be completely different from the first day. So from Machame all the way to Shira, the trail is going to be steep, and it will be covered with a rock. So if we remember clearly, the first golden rule is walking pole pole. So we'll be crossing through the Hither and Moorland. By saying Hither and Moorland, this is a third donation of Mount Kilimanjaro. That means it will be short and scattered tree that will allow the viewpoint. So you'll have the view of the Shira Ridge. You'll enjoy the view of Mount Meru. This is the second highest mountain in Tanzania from a distance. And also you'll enjoy the view of the Mosh village, while we'll be walking all the way to Shira. So Shira camp is at the elevation of 3,750 meters above the sea level. But before we arrive at the camp, we're crossing the highest point, and that will be the point for our acclimatization, which will be 3,850 meters above the sea level. So we'll incline for 100 meters and then descending all the way down to the camp. Once we arrive at Shira, expect to have a hot lunch. And then after the hot lunch, you'll have a planned time for the afternoon nap. We'll come to awake you around 4 to do the nature walk around the camp, which will take us roughly 45 minutes, go and return. And on our return, we'll do the full team introduction. So it will be a time for you to know the stomach engineer. When I say stomach engineer, that means it's a chef. The rest of the G fighters. And for them, it will be a great chance for them to know you and where are you coming from. So after the team introduction, it will be wash time again. And then after wash, you'll go straight to the mess tent. The CEOs will join there and they will give the briefing for the day 3. And then after you'll have your dinner and you'll go back to sleep. Our day 3 will start from Shira all the way to Barranco. But from Shira, we have to via Lava Tower, and Lava Tower is going to be our acclimatization point. So Lava Tower is at the elevation of 4,600 meters above the sea level, and then we'll be descending down to Barranco camp, which will be at the elevation of 3,900 meters above the sea level. And we will switch the zonations from the hills and moorland, and I will go all the way to the Alpine Desert. Into the Alpine Desert, there will be more presence of rock and less vegetations. It's only some few flowers, and the tussock grasses are growing into this zone, as you can see clearly from the picture. So from Shira all the way to Barranco is going to be 10 kilometers, which will take us 5 to 6 hours. But from Shira to Lava Tower, it is 7 kilometers, 4 good hours. And once we arrive at Lava Tower, we are going to have our hot lunch. So we'll stay there for 45 minutes to an hour to let our body adjust with the surrounding before we start descending down to our camp. From Lava Tower all the way to Barranco, it is 3 kilometers, which will take us 2 to 3 hours, depending on how we walk. And on the way down, extremely careful is needed because most of the accidents are happening on the way down. Some part will be slippery, and with a rock party, some of the rocks, they are quite loose. So the CEOs will be there to give the instruction on where you're supposed to step. Once we get to Barranco, it will be the moorland zone again with the presence of Jansenensis, the endemic plant. So the schedule will be as usual. We'll provide the warm water for wash, and then we'll dress warm, going straight to the mess tent to have the evening tea. After the evening tea, the CEOs will be there to join you for the briefing of the next day. And remember, at Barranco, it's going to be your golden night because from here, going to the base camp will not have enough time for you to sleep. So our day 4 will definitely start at Barranco, veering the Barranco wall, which from a distance, when you look at it, it looks a little bit steep and scary. But once you start hiking it, it is completely different. So there will be sort of scrambling, and we call it monkey's business, simply because we'll be using hands to cross some part. And it will be like 45 minutes to cross the challenging part. The rest of the part will be doable all the way until we get to the top of Barranco wall. As you can see clearly from the picture, some of the people are crossing the Barranco wall. Imagine the G fighters with their staffs, they are crossing the same way. So it's doable. There's nothing to worry about. So at the top of Barranco wall is going to be 4,200 meters. And then from there, we'll start descending. It will be up and down until we get to Karanga Valley. At Karanga Valley, there will be some streams crossing there, and there is going to be our last water point, which means at the base camp, we are not going to have any source of water. And our G fighter, they will have to carry water straight from the Karanga Valley all the way to the base camp. In this case, we are not going to provide the water for wash at the base camp, and instead we recommend our climbers to use the wet wipes while they will get at the base camp. So the final hiking to Karanga camp And once we get to the Karanga camp, we are going to provide a hot lunch and refilling some water. And after the hot lunch, we'll start hiking to the final, ascending all the way to Baraf camp. And Barafu is going to be our base camp. So Karanga is at the elevation of 3,995 meters above the sea level, and we'll be heading all the way to Barafu, which is at the elevation of 4,673 meters above the sea level. Once we arrive at the base camp, we are going to provide the early dinner because we do not have enough time, and we need to give you enough time to rest before the summit. So after the early dinner, the CEOs will be there to discuss briefly about the summit night. So wake up time, it will be 11 sharp. And at this time, you'll be putting your final layers. And then 11:30, you're supposed to be at the mess tent having the refreshment. When I say refreshment, this means it's a light food, like the tea to warm up your body, some popcorns and biscuit will be there. And our expectation to hit the trail, it will be around at the midnight sharp. So how to dress for the summit? Starting with your head, you have to put your balaclava, your warm hat, the flashlight, and make sure that you start with a fresh battery. Make sure that the flashlight is not too tight or too loose to allow the circulations of blood into your head. The upper body, you'll start with the 2 long sleeves, your t-shirts, your fleece, and the outer shell should be duvet jacket or the rain jacket, which will act as the windproof. Down to the lower body, you'll start with a 2 thermal underneath, your trekking pants, and the outer shell should be your rain trouser or ski pants. Down to your boot, 2 pairs of socks, start with the thin and then the thick one, and make sure that you'll have a room to play your toes, because if your boot will be too tight, it will lead to the bad freezing. Gloves, you'll start with the liner one. For those who are using the walking poles, they will start with the thick one. If you do have the toe warmers, hand warmers, start with them right away. From Barafu all the way to Stella Point, this is the hardest part. As you can see from the picture, it's look quite steep, but we are not going straight. There will be a switchback grave all the way until we get to Stella Point. Stella Point, this is going to be our first point at the Planetarium, which will be at the elevation of 5,756 meters above the sea level. And our highlight is to be at the Stella Point while it is the sunrise time. On the way, we'll be having some official break for drinking water, boosting up the energy, and keep proceeding until we get to Stella Point. So when we arrive there, if the sun will be up, we'll have time taking picture, drinking some warm stuff before we proceed all the way to Uhuru. So at Stella Point, they normally provide the green certificate, but our highlight is not to end at the Stella Point. So we'll proceed further, 1 kilometer. So from Baraf all the way to Stella Point is 4 kilometers, which will take us 5 to 6 hours. And from Stella Point all the way to Uhuru is 1 kilometer, which will take us 45 minutes to an hour, depend on how we'll be feeling. So from Stella Point to Uhuru, it's not that steep, it's a gentle climbing, going through the Planetarium all the way until we get to Uhuru, which is our main point. When we get to Uhuru, we'll have a plenty of time taking picture of the surrounding, the signboard. And if you look on your right and left sides, you can see there are a bulk of glaciers. It will be time for you to take a picture surrounding the Uhuru. And then also we'll have a time to boost up our energy. And from a distance, if the weather will be clear, you'll be able to see the peak of Mount Meru floating on the clouds. So it will be the best time for you to take a picture. And some part of Mosh Town will be seen once we'll be at the roof of Africa. So if you take a look clearly at the signboard, let's get back to the signboard. Yes. Behind it, right now they have put the Tanzanian flag. It was because when we get our independence in 1961, our president sent the soldier with a candlelight and the flag just to enlight all the borders that we are free. So I think at the bottom of the signboard, you can see the flag with the 4 colors. Yes. So the blue color represents the water bodies, yellow stand for minerals, black represent our color, and the green is for natural resources. Soon after finishing with the boosting energy, taking some picture with the surrounding, because if the weather will be good, we'll have 15 minutes to 20 minutes taking some picture, and then we'll start descending all the way to the base camp. From Uhuru all the way to the base camp, it will take us 3 good hours descending. And remember, most of the accidents are happening on the way down, so extremely careful is needed while we'll be descending down. Once we arrive at the base camp, we'll give you like 2 hours to 2 hours and a half to take a rest. And then after, we'll come to awake you to have a brunch. When I say brunch, this means it's a late breakfast and early lunch together. So after having a brunch, you get back to your tent, packing your stuff, get ready to descend all the way to the Mweka camp. From Barafu all the way to Mweka camp is going to take us, it is 7.5 kilometers, which will take us 4 good hours descending. There will be no uphill, it will be downhill, all the way veering the heather and moorland until we get to Mweka camp. So Mweka camp is at the elevation of 3,100 meters above the sea level. And once we get at the Mweka camp, we'll provide the warm water for wash. After the wash, you'll come straight to the mess tent, having the evening tea with the popcorns, and the CEOs will come straight to join you there for the last briefing on the mountain. Then after, you'll have your early dinner because you'll be feeling tired and it will be a long day for you. Imagine 6 or 7 hours up and then 3 hours getting back to the camp. From there, 4 more hours descending all the way to Mweka camp. That will be a long day and you will deserve to take the early rest. So our day 6 will start at the Mweka camp. So early in the morning, after you finish your breakfast, we are going to gather the entire team and we are going to have a tipping ceremony. In that case, some of our G fighters, they're going to have a chance to say the last goodbye because not all of them, they will join you all the way to the hotel. It will be the CEOs, a few G fighter, and the stomach engineer who will join you all the way to the hotel. From the Mweka camp, descending all the way to the Mweka gate, it's going to be 10 kilometers and it will take us 3 good hours. And I will be crossing through the rainforest again all the way to the Mweka gate. And Mweka gate is at the elevation of 1,640 meters above the sea level. So once we arrive here at the Mweka gate, there will be a signboard which is written Mweka gate congratulations. On the other side is written congratulations. And bon voyage, that's the German word. So once we arrive here, the CEOs, they will sign out and we'll collect your certificate, and we are not going to hand it over straight to you right here at the Mweka gate. Instead, we'll do that at Stella Maris. We'll find our G-bus ready waiting for us. And then after, the driver will take us to Mweka village, where we are going to have our hot lunch before we go back to Stella Maris. From the lunch point all the way to Stella Maris, it will take us an hour. And I will be veering the Mosh town, getting back to Stella Maris. Once we arrive at the Stella Maris, it will be 6 days without getting shower. So we are going to give you an hour to take a shower. And then after, you'll come downstairs for debriefing. After debriefing, you'll come to join with the CEOs, and the Mosh Mama will be around there for the certificate ceremony. So by the time that will be providing your certificate, the Mosh Mama will be providing the free Kilimanjaro bracelet. And then after finishing with our certificate ceremony, as you can see some of the products, we'll invite you to go straight to their tables so that you can see their product. All these products that you see are handmade with the Mosh Mamas. And if you'll be interested, you'll support them by buying their product. Also, there'll be 2 ladies around there who will be dealing with the massage. If you'll be interested to do a massage, it will be your time to do so. You can see the massage room covered with a traditional blanket. After finishing with all this, the waiters will be right there. They'll be looking forward for what you will prefer for dinner. And we highly recommend at the last day to make sure that you'll be trying our local food. So this is machalari. It's a local food for the Chaga tribe, the tribe that living at the foothill of the mountain. As you can see, there are green bananas, green beans, and beef mixed together. And we do have another local food. Let's jump to Ugali. Yes, this is a Tanzanian and the African, some of the African country local food. Actually, this is Ugali. That is the Swahili word. In English, we call it stiff porridge. So the difference between one nationality to another, it will be how to prepare it. Some they do prepare with the cassava flour, but we do prepare with the corn flour. And also, you can see there will be varieties of the vegetable. So Ugali is tasteless, but somehow the vegetable make a full taste of this Ugali. So Ugali can go straight with the fish. It can go with a green vegetable. It can go with barbecue, depending on what you'll be prefer. The chicken, fried chicken. Sometimes sardine. And lastly, it will be time to make a cheers. So in Kilimanjaro, we do have a phrase which says that if you do not climb, make sure that you drink it. This is a Kilimanjaro beer, make the most of it. So it will be a time to make a cheers with the CEOs to say the last goodbye. And when we make cheers, we used to say maisha marefu. Maisha marefu means long life. And that is going to be the last bye-bye with the CEOs, the stomach engineer, and some Fuji fighter, because we have to drive from Stella Maris all the way back to Arusha where we live. Thanks for listening. Thank you for your time. If you do have any question, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Said. That was very informative. We have a lot of questions coming in. So one of the first questions that I think a lot of people will be wondering is, what are your tips for dealing with elevation? We have like some comments coming in that they're nervous about how high it is. Can you speak to how you can handle that on the mountain?
Well, it is very important to know the elevation. As I said, that we will be acclimatizing to go high and sleep low. So at each camp, you'll find the signboard, which is the signboard will be written, the elevation of the camp is to make you aware that you are in a certain point. And if you want to do acclimatization, that means you have to go a little bit further and coming down.
All right. I have another question. So you mentioned some distances being 45 minutes or an hour, depending on how fast or slow you go. How do you decide how fast or slow a group goes?
Regarding to the first rule is walking pole-pole, and that there will be no competitions. That means sometimes we do not have like a fixed time. It's dependent on the group, they're enjoying their pace. Right. So it doesn't matter whether we will be late or getting somewhere fast. It's dependent on how you'll be feeling, your rhythm. If you'll be comfortable, we will be fine with that because it is your holiday and it's not a competition.
Yeah. Awesome. We have another one. Is there a time of year or specific months that is better to come do the trek?
Yes. Starting from June all the way to October is the best time because the short rain season normally starting at November until the mid of December. And then starting from December all the way to March, it is the best time because the long rain season starting from March through May.
All right, great. I guess we'll all be booking our trips for that time. We have another question. Do we have vegetarian options on the trip?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Gluten-free.
Oh, I have all of it.
Yes.
Awesome. And then there's one more question that we'll get to. If anyone else has any, you can put them in the question and answer box. One was about what kind of wildlife, or if there is any, on the hike do you see?
Well, it depends with the side of the mountain. In the northern part of the mountain, Tanzania, it's bordered with a national park from Kenya, which is known as Ambosel. And in the western side of the mountain, we are bordered with a game reserve. So there will be some transition of wild animals like buffalo, elephant, some antelopes. If it's dry down there at the national park, they used to come up here searching for green pasture and water. But when we are taking Machame, expect to see the two types of monkey, the black and white colobus monkey and the blue monkey, some birds and rodents.
Wow, amazing. Yes. All right, so I think that's all of the questions. I apologize if I didn't get to any of the other questions, but you can always contact Gadventures and get your answers there. So as the tour comes to an end, I would like to thank you all for taking time to connect with us and join Gadventures for this exclusive look at Mount Kilimanjaro. I know Said gave us a taste of the wanderlust that we all need during this time, and we'll be looking to book those flights out to Tanzania whenever we can. So if you enjoyed this tour, please consider donating to the Planeterra Trek Challenge. You can visit planeterra.org to learn more. And you can view all of Gadventures tours to Tanzania on the Gadventures website. So thank you all for coming and have a lovely rest of your Friday.